I thought it was done.
Oh, yeah, that's and the referee was right there, dude, because I mean he took like 15 shots to the ear, like 15. And I was like, is this you gonna step in, dude?
Wait, yeah, what do you think?
Dan Hooker. As far as my analysis on this fight, Chandler did not cheat here at all. Mainly because he didn't really need to. He got the TKO in round 1. Charles Olivera won. This is a very debatable one here. I wouldn't call this cheating, but it's kinda in a grey area. The UFC rule I found was, fighters can hold their opponent's hand if they are gripping the hand, not just using the material of the glove. Chandler leverages the wrist section of Olivera's glove to push himself out of a body triangle. It's really hard to say it's cheating technically. I would say using it this way is actually smart enough to get away with it. And I've probably seen worse in other fights too. So Chandler loves to set up power punches. One way he uses it to set it up is by measuring his opponent. When he measures them, he sticks his fingers out and gauges the distance to shoot his backhand for the punch. It gets tricky when he instinctively measures coming in or goes to do it in the back foot, which will affect the opponent's eye in the future. Chandler did throw some shots to the back of the head of Charles, but it was only like 2 or 3 of them, and he made the punches hook so it will reach the temple of his head and not directly on the back like a hammer fist. We will see a lot of cheating, well, better quote-unquote cheating later on in the video, because this point in Chandler's career, he is not in deep waters yet. Also, Charles was down there with head movement, so we don't really blame Chandler for this too. Chandler on top smothers his hand to push Olivera down, which is fine, but straight after he curls his fingers looking like he is fish hooking or just framing really weird. I can't see too clearly, but Olivera definitely reacted pretty bad from it. Either the fingers dug into his cut more or Chandler poked his eye. This is also a grey area. But yeah, the fight finished at the beginning of round 2. Justin Gaethje. In the last seconds of round 2, Chandler grazes Gaethje's eye with his fingers. It looks like he was measuring again or trying to grab the back of Gaethje's head to do something with it, maybe just frame it. And after that, even seeing Gaethje showing a gesture of being eye poked, Chandler goes in for the punch. I don't blame Chandler not seeing the ref showing the timeout gesture. He was too locked in or didn't see it. But I mean, he definitely saw Gaethje hurt and covering up his eye though. And for more context, this was Chandler bloodied and tired out. He just got knocked down and he exerted basically all of his energy. So he is basically 20% conscious, which led to the reckless hand movement for the eye poke. And the fight was via unanimous decision for Justin Gaethje. Tony Ferguson. During round 1, Chandler got a clean takedown on Tony. He took advantage of it where he got some brutal ground and pound moments in. It didn't look too crazy, but it was just a warning. Tony looked up to the ref too. The ref responded. He said, "Watch your head coming in, Mike." Meaning, Mike was too engaged. He was almost headbutting Tony coming in for the ground strikes. But it was just a warning though. And after that round, it was the end of the fight. Dustin Poirier. Alright, here comes the juicy part. In the first round, nothing happened, but you can see what Chandler likes to do that can go badly. When I say badly, I mean very illegal. Because Chandler is always the shorter fighter, he relies on his combinations and his explosiveness. He's the only one that does this from the top of my head, where he frames himself after a combination, so that he can push himself out of the pocket, which is unexpected from the opponent if they want to counter at the end of Chandler's combination, and they are just walking into an eye poke. In the second round, Chandler got Dustin's back and hit the back of his head. He was obviously dead from the first round, and it was like a hook to the temple with bad accuracy. It still got a warning from the ref, so this one is not too bad. For a fighter with only explosiveness and anaerobic style fitness, it's obvious why he just instinctively goes for whatever he can to win, aka playing dirty and just having no fight IQ. There is literally no oxygen left in that brain. But there's no excuse for what he did later. he tried to fish hook Dustin Poirier twice so he can sink in his other arm for the rear naked choke. Yes, twice. Also very quick, fish hooking is utilizing the nostrils or mouth to leverage the opponent's head. And not only that, he hammer-fisted the back of Dustin's head, directly this time. Even worse, the ref told him to stop, but he kept doing it anyway. And of course, karma strikes back in round 3, where some people, even the commentators, thought Chandler might be up 2-0 coming into the third. And there's the finish.
And then the conversation you had, that you don't have to go into details or anything, but Dustin also seemed to be complaining about fouls in there. Did it have something to do with that, what he said to you?
Yes, I will admit, yes, his mouth was open and my hand went inside of there and was on his mouthpiece. He bit down. I was trying to pull it out. It wasn't as though I was trying to pull it out and he was biting it and I couldn't get it out. It was more just the angle. I mean, you're getting pushed up against the cage. I mean, it's just, and then there was, I think that was, well, and then the other thing was when Dan Murgulata was saying I was hitting him in the back of the head. I don't know. I'll have to go back and watch it, to be honest with you. But I know I was catching his ear, or at least in my mind I was catching his ear. So we had that kind of conversation. So y'all know I ain't a cheater. I love this game. I don't cheat.
And I told him he's a dirty motherfucker too, for putting his fingers in my mouth and blowing his nose, and it's all good.
So it's not exactly over, or it is over?
Man, it's over. I don't hold. It's whatever. It's whatever.
Charles Olivera too. Due to copyright being all over this specific fight, and because of its recency, I don't want to dab on too much on this one. But there are still many videos out there that really go into detail. I don't want to tease the YouTube gods right now because I received a copyright from my All Kaya Sakura Fights video. That was a strike too. Not a claim, a strike. Meaning I'm kinda in deep waters for a bit. So sadly, there won't be any raw fight clips on this channel for a while unless it's specifically crowd cam footage, which is very uncopyrighted, which is good for me. Chandler was holding the top of the cage to hold himself up so he wouldn't get taken down from Charles. Then he also did his signature framing move where he measured out during a combination that poked Charles' eye. It happened twice too, one on the left and one on the right. It was bound to happen because Charles loves being in the pocket, and seeing him getting rocked or trying to counter brings excitement to the fight. But he then immediately gets eye poked, which kills the joy. And not to mention the most notorious back to the head shots too. He also tried to grab the insides of the gloves and grab the fence. And of course, it follows the same pattern where Chandler just has no oxygen in his brain. He has a low fight IQ. He was purely built to only fight for 2 rounds at most. And yeah, so karma got him good. So that's all, short and simple, end of the video.